The 2022 NFL Draft is just 17 days away. Yeah, it's coming up real quick. And if you, like me, are excited for this year's draft, then show it by liking this video right now. You guys are watching Tennessee Titans today. I am Tom Downey, here to break down the latest 7-round ESPN Mock Draft as it relates, of course, for the Tennessee Titans. Jordan Reid did the not enviable task of making every single pick in this year's draft in his mock draft. So we're going to break down the Titans side of it on today's video. They have 7 picks in the 2022 NFL Draft. They have the number 26 overall pick. I would not be surprised if they made trades. They were wheeling and dealing. There were no trades, of course, in this mock draft because that's too much for a 7-rounder. The first pick in round 1 for Tennessee was Treylon Burks, the wide receiver out of Arkansas. And I think I speak for many of you when I say good job. Burks, of course, has been mocked before to Tennessee, and we've spent time in the past breaking him down, so don't have to spend too much time this go around. He's a logical fit for Tennessee. They have the needed wide receiver. He's a plug-and-play at either the outside or maybe more so the slot, where he spent most of his time in Arkansas. He is not the elite athlete he was hyped up to be. I have real concerns about his ability to separate easily, but he is a machine after the catch. A very fair player comparison for him is A.J. Brown. Was used as a bigger version of Deebo Samuel at Arkansas. Here was Jordan Reid's pitch, why Burks Titans make sense. Tennessee is the exact type of offensive coordinator Burks will need in order to take advantage of his skill set, which I'm not sure I agree with. The Titans should upgrade the wide receiver room, and Burks has the traits to be a great option with Ryan Tannehill's playing style. Burks got carries at Arkansas. He was highly productive and played great against Alabama. 66 grabs, 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's not a premier athlete. I would probably use him plenty in the slot where he was used heavily at Arkansas. But a trio of A.J. Brown, of Robert Woods, and Treylon Burks, short-term plus long-term Brown and Burks, the double Bs we can call them, or something along those lines, that's a really good pairing. So if you can get him back into round 1, I have a top 32 player grade on him. I think it'd be a strong and great selection for Tennessee. I'd also strongly consider a left guard unless you want to play Jamarco Jones there. So rate the pick of Burks for me. This is going to be the pinned comments on today's video. So the ad break comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and rate this pick 1 on the low end to 100 on the high end. No round 2 pick for Tennessee. So round 3. Nicholas Petit-Frere out of Ohio State. Now, he's a tough prospect for me, and overall I was kind of lukewarm on him, but I do think this is around the right range he should really go. I've got about a 3rd-round grade on him. Great size, 6'5", 316, just under 34-inch arms. I thought he struggled this year on the left side. Now, 2020, he was on the right side. And I thought he fared a heck of a lot better. He had issues this year. He got worked by Michigan. I think we all remember the highlight of Aiden Hutchinson knocking Petit-Frere on the ground in a bull rush there. But in 2020, I thought he played pretty well on the right side. So I think he's more comfortable on that side. There, he is raw. Make no mistake about it. There's techniques. His hands is way too low. When he's on his game against lesser competition, he played really, really well. But he struggled against some of the better competition this year. But this is an upside pick. And I think because he's got left and right tackle experience, plus the traits, the athletic ability, the frame, etc., that is a worthwhile gamble back end of round 3, right where I think he should go. This could be your new swing tackle. Now, again, maybe you try and play Dylan Radins at left guard and make Petit-Frere your right tackle. I guess that's an option, but Reid specifically mentioned depth for Tennessee. That's fine at this point. You're just hoping for... You would love to get a starting guard. It did not happen in this mock draft. Now, if you guys love the Tennessee Titans, then friggin' subscribe already. We are not yet to 3,000, which means I'm doing other teams' videos instead because I have a lot of stuff to do here, and we go by most subscribers. So get that changed if you want more videos. Hit that big red button right now. Chigoziem Okonkwo out of Maryland is the pick here in round 4, a.k.a. Chig Okonkwo, which is probably a little bit easier to say. Had a great 40-yard dash. 4.52 is awesome. Overall, though, his athletic testing was a bit more good than it was great. There's real upside here as a move tight end. This is in my notes, not specific for Tennessee because I've scouted him already. I give him a Kyle Granson comp, who was the SMU tight end the Colts took, but Delaney Walker, athletically, that's what you're hoping to get out of Okonkwo, that move H-back style tight end who's not a great blocker. That is a red flag. His hands weren't great. He is a bit raw as a tight end, but the upside, and given the run on tight ends that went down in Jordan Reid's mock draft, does make some sense for a back end of 4th-round pick. Now, if you watch just ESPN NFL Network, you might go, wow, day 3 is here, and there's been 10 straight picks, and they haven't talked about any of them. It annoys me to no end when that happens. That's why here at Chat Sports, when we cover all 3 days of the NFL Draft, we break down every single pick. So when there is a random round 5 guy you've never heard of, we will discuss it. That way you know exactly who your team or who just got picked. So go subscribe to the Chat Sports YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Moving along in the ESPN 7-round mock draft, a quarterback in round 4, one of the comp picks for Tennessee, number 143 overall, Bailey Zappe, who I think pretty straightforwardly reminds me of Case Keenum. That's who I think you're getting when you take him. A guy that, maybe he can be a low-end starter for you, but in reality, he's a backup QB. Now, his production, after transferring from Houston Baptist to Western Kentucky, is nuts. No typos here, folks. 69% completion rate. Nice. Nearly 6,000 passing yards, 62 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. You may go going, Tom, how is that production not a top 50 pick at minimum? Well, it's the traits. He's 6'1", 215. His arm is, I'm going to use the word middling. It's not terrible, but it's not good. The downfield stuff is not. And then there was a lot of, that was the offense. They ran that air raid style. Think you're Cliff Kingsbury, Texas Tech. You're just throwing it consistently. I love his touch, but the physical traits, the reading of defenses is not there. So I've got a schemed production QB who's got great touch, but arm strength isn't great. He doesn't bring you much as a runner, and like doing actual reads of defense was not a thing. So it's just, he's backup in the end. So do you want to do that? Do you want to spend a pick on a QB? Could be early or maybe a backup like Bailey Zappe. Why for yes and for no? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. A running back now, a lot of offense in this mock draft for Tennessee. Dameon Pierce out of Florida. He was underused for the Florida Gators. He had 329 career carries. That was it. You got guys who had that in this season. He was just not utilized by the Florida Gators, which, and given his upside, and there is some here, he could be your classic. He was better in the NFL than he ever was at college type of prospect. Tennessee does need a backup running back. And again, the production in limited role this year was good. 100 carries, 5.7 average, didn't have any drops or fumbles. There's a lot of special teams value here, but I think he's only an average-ish athlete. The production is a red flag. Was he out there because wasn't out there because was the Florida Gators coaching staff bad, or was he just not that great in practice? The special teams value helps. He reminds me of DJ Dallas in Seattle. I think he'll be a backup runner in the NFL. There is third down value, special teams value. I actually had a 4th to 5th round grade on him, or have one, so that actually is pretty good value here for Tennessee to get him. He could be your RB2, or at least a better version of Trenton Cannon. Once again, folks, I am asking you to subscribe. Who wants more Titans videos? Surely everybody watching right now does. So let's make that happen. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now. All right, next up is Chris Paul. No, not the point guard. The offensive lineman out of Tulsa. Number 204 off the board here. He played all over the offensive line for Tulsa. 17 starts at right tackle, 12 at left guard, 8 at right guard, 1 at left tackle. I thought overall was more comfortable on the right side where he spent the majority of his time. Tested really well at the combine. I think his role in the NFL is probably more of your super swing offensive lineman. I didn't see the same level of on-field athletic that I saw in the testing, but that does feel noteworthy. And at least for a guard, he tested really, really well. I think it was where he plays in the NFL. So think of this as your eventual probably 7th or 8th offensive lineman in the short term, and eventually becomes your, hey, somebody got hurt. We got to get somebody else out there on the offensive line, and that is the role that Chris Paul ends up playing. Now, next up is Jeremiah Hall, who I'm going to make note, tight end at Oklahoma, because that's what he played at Oklahoma, kind of that H-back role. But ESPN put him in as a fullback. So some disconnect here. He's going to be a tight end in our graphics when we go through for our draft coverage there. 13 carries at OU, but 68 catches as that H-back type of role. He did not test well. I have a UDFA grade on Jeremiah Hall. I don't see enough athletic to get excited about him. I didn't see enough blocking, frankly, either, which is why I was a bit surprised he was a fullback for ESPN. I think he's that H-back in the end. Decent blocker, not great in the end. I think I might have misspoke earlier. The special teams, that's how he makes his team, right? He ends up impressing there, earns that last tight end fullback type of role, and eventually becomes a core special teamer for you. To recap then, the ESPN 7-round mock draft for Tennessee. Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. Nicholas Petit-Frere out of Ohio State. Chigoziem Okonkwo out of Maryland, a tight end in the Delaney Walker, hopefully, mold. Bailey Zappe, a backup QB from Western Kentucky. Dameon Pierce out of Florida. Chris Paul out of Tulsa. And Jeremiah Hall from Oklahoma, who's that tight end, fullback, H-back hybrid guy. So grade this mock draft for me. How do you feel about what Jordan Reid did for ESPN? Let me know in the comments. A, B, C, D, or F.